How do you keep going when you've got no motivation, no time, and you keep reverting back to those bad habits? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode of the podcast, which is a question that I received in my inbox last week. And I'm going to dig into a specific scenario from this particular person just to try and unpick and give you some insights and practical information that you can apply into your own lifestyle, your own training, your nutrition, so that you can start to make results and basically get through what you feel is a little bit of a plateau, a little bit of a sticking point, like you're trying to walk through freaking treacle and you're not actually getting anywhere. Now, what I want to talk about first and foremost, is that I think, and this is just my personal opinion, that most people get it wrong when they think they have no motivation. I actually think most people have a tremendous amount of motivation, but that kind of gets a dent and kind of falls away a little bit. But let's talk about that a little bit more. Now, for me, there's a distinction between motivation and just not having a plan or a sense of direction or some discipline. I think that those things are very different because most of us are motivated to change. If you're listening or watching this particular episode right now, I am sure that you have tried something related to fitness before in the past. You tried to achieve a goal, whether that was to try and lose weight and keep it off, whether it was to build some muscle, change your physique, maybe it was to do a bit of both, maybe it was to get a bit fitter, run a faster marathon time or whatever. At some point in the past, I bet you've tried a specific fitness goal and you wanted to change. Maybe if you are in a situation where you're trying to lose weight, maybe you've been trying to lose weight multiple times, time after time after time after time. The fact that you even keep coming back to that process and to that goal suggests that there is a high degree of motivation. If there wasn't much motivation there, it'd be just like, fuck it, I can't be asked, whatever. Not interested. But actually, you have motivation. You have motivation that you can harness and use in the right way if you choose to do so. So I think the issue is that most of us are actually ambivalent to change. Now, I think I would class myself in this as well, not necessarily from a health and fitness perspective, but certainly in other things in life. It's the thing that staying the same is often easier than change. So yes, you're motivated to change. You're motivated to try and change your body composition. You want to lose weight, whatever your goal may be. There's a motivation there. There's a drive. But sometimes the making that change just feels too freaking difficult. It just feels like I really want to get there, but it's a little bit too hard. Or it's a little bit, takes too long. It's too much time consuming, or it's too much like mentally draining and all this sort of stuff. And that's what gets the better of you. And therefore you kind of just slip back into those old ways. So maybe it's not necessarily a motivation thing. It's just you not sure how to channel that motivation. You haven't got a clear plan, a structure or anything like that to set you on the right path. So I think most people get into that situation where, it's easier just to kind of, just not go that little bit extra further to try and put all the component parts in place. Now, I think that in this particular scenario where this email came through, now, again, this person said they weren't motivated, they didn't have any time, but they were training 2 or 3 times per week. Now, again, someone who is struggling for time but is still making time to train 2 or 3 times a week, to me, has a lot of motivation. That's more than a lot of people do on a regular basis. So some people start, some people, try to do 3 or 4 times a week and then they kind of stutter and falter and then it goes to like no times per week and things like that. So the fact that you're actually like training at all, if you're in that situation, again, that's showing you're motivated and it's showing you're prioritizing it and making time available for it. Now, I think that one of the key things around making time when you haven't got no time is framing what you are perceiving to be a time drain. Now, a lot of people look at meal prep as this horrendous freaking process that happens on a Sunday. You block out the whole entire day because you're going to destroy the fucking kitchen. You're going to use every fucking pot, pan, whatever. You've got all your Tupperware lined out, and it takes about 8 hours for you to put all of this meal prep shizzle together. And it probably takes you another 8 hours to get it all nicely laid out for the Instagram photo. So it becomes this kind of like, oh shit, got a fucking meal prep again. And instead of maybe looking for ways to reduce that time, as be one thing, is that you kind of just abandon it. It becomes this thing of, oh fuck, I don't want to do that. Oh fuck no, fuck no, fuck no. So I think that is one way to think about it. Is like, well, okay, well, how can I actually shorten this? You know, there are various different ways to do it. I've sent out a video to my mailing list which showed them how I meal prep for a week in under 30 minutes. And again, okay, I'm not making fucking Gordon Ramsay Michelin star meals, but I don't give a shit. I don't want Michelin star meals every fucking day. And people say, well, I want variety. I don't want to eat the same things every day. Now, if you really, really unpick that, most people, when they say they want variety, actually really don't think about what that means. So I can guarantee you that you probably have anywhere between 6 to maybe 12 dishes that you cycle all the fucking time. All year round. You've got the same, like, oh, you're always having a spag bolognese, you always have like some sort of pasta and chicken, stir fry, whatever. You just rotate the same things on rotation. That's absolutely fine. Most people in the world do it because there isn't many people in the world that make a different meal every fucking day of the week for a whole entire year. Nobody fucking does that. Well, I guess there's some people out there that do that, but nobody is really doing that on a regular basis. So to say that you want variety, it's like, well, okay, what the fuck does that actually mean? Because many people, again, when it comes to like breakfast, for example, because the start of the day is so structured for like, I'm picking a typical person, maybe they're out to work at the same time, commute to work, etc., etc. Because that process is so regimented, you often find you just end up having the same thing because it fits that routine. You've got to fucking be somewhere, otherwise some boss is going to be on your ass. So you want to just have something that fits into that routine. You're not going to swap oats one day for having something that takes an hour to prepare the next day because it doesn't fit your routine. So you will find that you slip into like breakfast is often just a regular thing. Then when you think about, okay, I've got my 6 to 12 dishes that I'm cycling in the evening. Okay, really, and there's lunch is kind of like the only meal that maybe you change, and many people don't even change that either. So what does variety actually mean? First thing, and that is kind of one set of people's excuse for not maybe like prepping stuff because they don't want to eat the same thing. But again, question that. Then I think framing the whole prep process, it's not this onerous thing that lasts ages. It's actually this thing that saves you time. It saves you time. Think about if you spent, like I can do 20 meals in 1 hour. That's what I can do if I wanted to do it that way. Now, in that particular scenario, what you're therefore doing is mean that all of that, for that 1 hour I spend meal prepping, I've saved 20 times having to prepare something from scratch every evening, which might take me 1 hour plus, something like that. So think of all of that saved. So I've saved 20 hours, almost a day of my fucking life by investing in some meal prep and learning how to do it a little bit more effectively and efficiently. So if you're struggling for time to train and go to the gym, I'm not saying that meal prep is going to be the answer for everybody, but it could be one thing to look at is that if I can prep here, save time over here during the week, then that frees me up some time maybe to go to the gym. Maybe it just, you want to use that time to spend time with the family, to relax and unwind and not have to think about cooking. You just want to chill out. Great, that's a great reason to do that sort of thing. So again, like framing these sorts of things and saying, well, actually this process is positive for me. Now, when you're thinking about meal prep as this positive thing, guess what? You're more likely to go fucking do it. And when you go fucking do it, and you don't have to make all of these decisions constantly about nutrition every fucking day, you then don't necessarily you don't get worn down by that process. You hit your calorie targets every single day because you are not necessarily eating the same things every day, but you are consistent with it. It's there. You don't have to think about it. You're not buying things on the fly each and every day. Again, it helps you save time, achieve your goal, things like that. Again, I'm not saying that meal prep is the answer for everybody, but I'm saying it is potentially the answer for some people. And again, if it's framed in the right way, it can be beneficial. And again, think about it. If you're eating similar-ish things on a regular basis, after a little bit of period of time, you don't even need to track that fucking shit at all, because you'll be so in tune with how many calories are in this meal that I usually prepare for myself. It's like 300 calories, it's 400 calories. You get to know that. So therefore, you don't have to keep tracking everything. And it's one way you can actually get rid of the tracking process if that's what you want to do. The second thing I would look at is be an action taker. You need to kind of get in this situation. If you think you lack motivation, motivation isn't just going to come to you. You've got to take some action. Like I was saying before, if you're taking action on the meal prep thing and that's starting to save you time, you're getting motivation because it's leading to a good part of the process. It's leading to some benefit that you can see and you can feel. And therefore, that's what's going to create the motivation. Sitting on your butt, just kind of moaning about, okay, well, I haven't got this and this is not going so well and stuff like that. That's not going to lead to motivation. Motivation becomes from taking those first initial steps and building on those first initial steps. And I think that you also would benefit from creating discipline. Because for me, when I look at like motivation is fleeting. And that's the same for me, same for you, same for everybody around the world. Like willpower and motivation are like things that you just do not want to rely on in any way, shape or form. Because motivation is fleeting. One day you have it, next day you don't. It can be impacted by so many different things. And if you rely on that mood level to dictate what you do, more often than not, it's not going to be moving in the right direction. So there's going to be loads of times where you're not feeling motivated to do stuff. And if you're waiting for that motivation signal and that's the trigger for you to take action, well, then you are probably not really going to get the results that you want over the long period of time. So I would say replace willpower and motivation with habits and discipline. So habits is something that I talk about on a regular basis on the podcast. Instilling good habits, focusing on the inputs that you need to do each and every day, rather than focusing in on like willpower to try and resist stuff and trying to focus in on lofty end goals all the time. Like you want to lose 20 kilos or you want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, whatever. You need to focus on what you need to do each day. That's what's, again, going to make you an action taker. Being an action taker creates momentum. Momentum creates motivation and so on and so forth. It's like this big snowball effect. Now, discipline is something that I think that probably doesn't get talked about enough because let's face it, like if this was a job, if your job was to lose weight, go to the gym, and that's what earned you money, you would turn up for it. You would do it. Like you don't go and work in an office and then just say one day, wake up and go, do you know what? I'm not motivated for this today. I'm just going to fucking not show up. You would get fired straight away. So you got to treat, not necessarily, you don't want to make it like this owner, like, oh my God, this fucking horrible thing that you dread. But there does have to be an element of discipline to say that you need to show up for yourself. This is your life, your goal, what you want to achieve for your own happiness. So therefore, you need to show up for yourself and you need to take achieving your own goal as seriously as you would showing up for your job or something like that. Because creating that discipline to say, well, you know what? It's 6 a.m, it's fucking dark outside and I don't feel like going to the gym before work. But you know what? That's my discipline. That's what I do. I go to the gym at 6 a.m. So I'm going to go fucking do it. And then when you realize that, okay, just taking those first steps, packing the gym bag, putting the shoes on, getting in the car, by the time you get to the gym, do you know what? You'll probably feel fucking good about it anyway, especially if you fucking neck a couple of espressos along the way and you're fucking fully caffeinated. That will be very, very good for you. And then when it comes to this whole like rebounding on your daily habits and things like that, or rebounding on the things that have gone on in the past, you've lacked motivation, you feel like you've got no time, things don't start to work for you, so you start to ease back into those old shoes and you kind of unpick some of the things that you've been doing. For me, That's often a thing that happens again when you set these really lofty goals, which are not necessarily a bad thing. It's great to have ambition, it's great to have drive and where you want to get to. But sometimes if that's the only thing, like your only yardstick of success is a long-term goal that may take 1, 2, 3 years or more, if that is your only measure of how well you're doing, guess what? If your goal's 2 years away, on day fucking 4, you're going to feel like there's a long fucking way to go and this is a really shit process. And that is a great way to fuck up your motivation. So what you really want to think about is say, okay, great, that's the long-term goal. That's in the future. Let's leave it there in the future. Now let's look at what are we going to do each day and each week from an action point of view. So that might be, I need to go to the gym 3 times a week. I need to prep my meals. I need to track my calories. You don't have to track calories, but I'm just saying. And you need to do these little action-based goals. Maybe it's to take your supplements, drink water, focus on a sleep routine. Whatever you feel like you need to do in order to establish good habits that if you tick those off on a regular basis, not being perfect, but on a regular basis, if you're ticking those off, you're getting ever closer to your goal. That is what's going to create motivation. And you've got to then start to enjoy the process of ticking those things off. If you feel like that's just like, no, not interested in that, whatever, go to the gym, don't feel like it's a really good thing. If you're not invested in that as being a good thing, then again, you'll kind of have that motivation dip. So you need to tick those things off. You need to celebrate those successes and you need to gather that momentum. So that's what I would be thinking about. So if you're in the situation where you feel like you've got no motivation, is it no motivation? Or is it the fact that you lack structure, you lack organization, and you lack a plan? You've actually got the motivation, but because you've got no real where to go and kind of structure and clear things to do each and every day, well, it just sort of starts to crumble because you don't know what to do. That's different to me than motivation. Maybe it's a case of, well, when you've got no time, is that you're framing things in the wrong way. Maybe you need to look at what can you be doing that maybe you see as a negative right now that actually saves you time. Meal prep was just one example, but I'm sure there are many different things that you can do. And when you look at your diary, what else could you do to maybe save yourself some time, to create some time to actually do the things that you want to do? And then when it comes to rebounding and things like that, again, focus on action-based goals that you can do each day and each week that get you towards that endpoint that may be multiple months, maybe even years away. So hopefully this episode of the podcast kind of struck some chords with you, maybe prompted you into some action. I hope it did. If it did, feel free, drop me a message on Instagram at iron_paradise_fitness. And you can also grab some free resources in the show notes below. So if you want to use my free online calorie calculator, grab a free macro guide, free 4-week training program, you can access all of that from ironparadisefitness.com, and I will put the link in the show notes as well. You can also find out about my online coaching program, the Lean Life Method, my one-to-one coaching program. So if you want to help me to help you, guide you through all of this sort of stuff, get you that structured plan, get you that organization, and get you kind of on the path to the body that you've been striving for, then again, you can find out all about that on ironparadisefitness.com. And of course, as well, last thing from me, if you want to donate to the podcast, because to keep the lights on, it's cost money, you can ask a question and you can donate to ask that question by clicking the link in the show notes. But for now, all I'm going to say is thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. Keep living the lean life, and I'll see you for the next episode of the show.